Hey, are you a franchise founder with scaling efficiently? Or maybe you're a franchise consultant, franchise broker facing issues with lead generation and conversion. Today we're talking about diagnosing and solving the bottlenecks you face. Join me for this episode.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profit Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Schin.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Franchise Pitfalls and Profits. I'm your host, Don Schin, and today we're going to dive into one of the biggest challenges facing franchising, and that is growth bottlenecks. So whether you are a franchise founder, maybe you're an executive or a fran dev executive, and you're struggling to scale, or maybe you're a broker and you're just trying to increase your lead conversions, you're likely to run into roadblocks that slow you down or even stall your progress. The good news is these bottlenecks can be diagnosed, they can be fixed if you know the right way to do it and you take the right approach. And that's what we're talking about today. So let's break down how to identify and solve your growth bottlenecks. And how to get a better handle on your franchise development. We're going to talk about why prospects walk away. We're going to talk about how to diagnose lost deals. Has anybody ever talked to you about something like that? I doubt it. We're going to talk about the action steps that you can actually take to remove these obstacles and really accelerate or reignite your success. So anyway, let's get started. To start off, I think the challenge that we're talking about is that why do growth stalls in franchising happen? Why do they happen? Well, many franchises hit a wall when it comes to scaling. Maybe they sold a few locations. Again, in from the standpoint of an emerging brand, you're the founder. You've been fortunate enough to make a few early hits and early sales, but now you're struggling both managing, the new franchisees and then also starting or continuing to try to develop and bring on new franchisees. Or maybe you sign a few deals, but you've got some operational challenges and inefficiencies, and that prevents you from putting the amount of time into what's required to grow efficiently. On the flip side, maybe you're a consultant, you're a broker, or you're a franchise sales development professional working for a brand, and you can easily get frustrated when leads don't convert, right? I've been there. I share your pain. Maybe the leads seem qualified, but they disappear. They lose their interest somehow, some way before signing. This isn't just a sales problem. I'm not trying to let you guys off the hook, but this isn't necessarily just a sales problem. It really can be a sign of a deeper growth bottleneck for the whole brand. So, what are some of these common bottlenecks that I keep referring to? Well, one is poor franchisee recruitment strategies. Another one could be lack of a clear or compelling value proposition by the overall brand. Another thing could be issues. Boy, this is a big one. If you take nothing away from today, but this one and how to solve this one, and it is issues with lead follow up and to some extent lead quality. But I want to be sure you take away this concept that you're probably not doing the amount of follow up or proper follow up that's necessary. Another bottleneck could just be operational inefficiencies within the system that are now impacting your overall franchise growth. So, if you are experiencing any of these, you're not alone. So don't feel like, oh, wow, what the heck are we doing wrong? Why can't we seem to solve this? Because you're not alone. Many brands face this. But the key is diagnosing them properly, finding the root causes so that you can then create implementable solutions. Sorry about that, folks. So what we're going to do here to start is I want to focus first on diagnosing lost deals. Why do prospects walk away? So a major bottleneck here is these lost deals, seemingly interested prospects that are qualified and they disappear or maybe they back out. Boy, that is one of the most frustrating ones. I had a situation many years ago in my early days. Was back in the physical sending of contracts, and I sent a contract out to the guy and he said, yeah, we're all ready to go, just want to reread the agreement one more time and I'll sign everything and I'll be FedExing it over the weekend to you. And on Monday morning I get this scathing email about don't ever call me again. It's like, where did this come from? Why did this happen? Well, I'm going to tell you that some of the reasons for people backing out are as follows: a lack of trust. Maybe this guy didn't trust me. I'm sure it was one of these reasons, but if a potential franchisee isn't fully confident in your system, maybe not even a personal lack of trust, but they just don't have confidence in your system, they're going to hesitate. They may even start to ghost you. A lot of times people don't want to tell you no. So trust comes from transparency. It comes from social proof. In my scenario, I was an emerging brand and we probably didn't have a lot of social proof. And this lack of trust can also come from lack of a solid support structure. Again, we were projecting what we were doing in those early days, but maybe he just didn't have confidence in that. No brands are perfect, so transparency is really going to be huge. Don't try to project, particularly if you're the sales professional or you're a broker, or even if you're the founder of your emerging brand and you're still involved in the recruitment to a large degree. You should always be involved in it, but maybe you're still involved in it in a large degree. Don't try to project anything that you are not. Don't try to project something that's wonderful, but that they may hear something different, not bad, but different in their validation stage, in their validation calls. Okay, a second reason that they may be ghosting you or you're losing deals is a financial mismatch. Are you attracting the candidates that are truly meeting your financial requirements? I always say I hate to shoehorn somebody into a brand as a consultant, and as our company does consulting and brokering, or when I was a franchisor, or when Franchise Building Experts is the third party outsourced professionals helping a brand. You don't want to shoehorn someone into the opportunity. If they are not properly matched, you may need to adjust who you're targeting. You may need to provide different or better funding solutions. And so another piece of this financial mismatch is how quick can they get funding for your business, and how does that blend into any of their overall personal needs? And for example, without mentioning any specific brands or any specific categories of franchises, I remember one brand who was transparent when at least I spoke to them as the broker, but they indicated it took a year or so to build up the business and get to a place where the person could actually begin to take some of the rewards and start to see some of the ROI on their investment. to the point where the business ran pretty easily financially. And so he was transparent with me as the broker, as the consultant, but I'm not sure that got projected well to the candidates. There's no sense in signing someone up if they can't work through, in this scenario, this example, live, real example, if they can't work through that year time frame. You might make a franchise sale, but you'll have a disappointed candidate for you. And if you're the czar, you're going to have an underperforming franchise partner. And I can tell you, you sign enough of those over the course of time, and that alone is going to be a problem for you. So anyway, a third one we want to talk about as far as lost deals, and that's going to be just an unclear value proposition. If your prospects can't see the value of your franchise and what you're putting out there, then they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to look somewhere else. Your messaging has got to be clear. You have to communicate it well, especially what makes your brand unique. You want to get that across. So, for example, in home senior care, wonderful segment, very fulfilling. It often solves the problems that a candidate may have experienced themselves personally or in their lives, with their own elderly parents. However, when you look at the industry, particularly if you're a broker looking into the industry, you have 8 or 10 or more brands to choose from in your inventory. And I found it so helpful when one of these brands, over the course of time, when one of these brands took the time with me as the consultant to explain the differences in the industry, but also explained where they fit, also explained their niche and their uniqueness. And that was so helpful to me working with our candidates and placing them in the senior care space. A fourth thing is inconsistent follow-up. And again, this is the one, boy, I'll tell you, this is one that's so solvable. And so if you get nothing else out of today's episode, it's so solvable. This is the one I hope you take away. Many deals are lost simply because the brands or the brokers don't follow up in a timely and genuinely meaningful way. Prospects need regular touch points. They need education. And if you get nothing else out of this session, please do something about your follow-up. Make sure you fix this, because I can tell you it's huge and most people aren't doing it. They're not disciplined or they don't like to do it, but you've got to do it to reduce your number of lost deals. Use a good CRM. This can be a huge help, but we'll talk about that when we talk about solving some of these, implementing solutions. But at the end of the day, to look at how you follow up and be sure you're doing it well. A fifth thing, too much pressure, pushing someone to make a decision too quickly. Hard selling often drives prospects away in this business. Franchising is a major decision. No, it's probably not the biggest decision they'll ever make, but most buyers need time. They absolutely need education, and overall, they need reassurance before committing. Sometimes even need reassurance after they've committed. So this is a very important point. If you're selecting a company to work with, to outsource your franchise development to as well. A lot of the pure franchise sales organizations, you hire them and they are there just to sell. And so that's a sidebar conversation. If you're an emerging brand and you want to pursue how to do this more responsibly, call me. I'll be happy to talk with you about that. The way Franchise Building Expert, my company, FBE, does it. You, the decision maker, make all the awards. You, the franchisor, the emerging brand founder and owner, You make all the awards. We don't make it as your sales arm. We will never pressure anyone to buy a brand. And candidly, we will never pressure you to take someone that's not the right fit. So now let's talk about the actionable fixes. Here's where you want to start taking good notes. Survey your lost leads. This is so important. I used to do this as often as I could. I would touch base with prospects that had said they weren't moving forward. Their answers will reveal patterns in your sales process that need improvement. They'll be great indicators where it's something, once it's gone, you probably can't recoup that one person. But boy, if you are not communicating something properly, finding out why they didn't go with you is so critical to being sure you're communicating what your brand is actually all about. And you might think, hey, who the heck's going to talk to me after they've decided no? You'd be surprised. I didn't keep track of it, and I don't have statistics on it, but I'm going to tell you, my gut tells me 1 out of 3, 1 out of 2 will actually take your call. If you've treated them well and you have a good relationship with them, they're actually going to be happy to share with you. A lot of times it's not going to be about your brand, but it's still going to reveal ways that you can project and communicate better about your brand so that other points that are strong about your brand come out and again, help them overcome whatever it is they were thinking might not be that important to them. So people are going to talk to you. And I usually ask something like, we're always trying to get better. And I know this may not be right for you. Joining our franchise network might not be the right thing, but you can really help me by giving me a couple of the primary reasons why you chose to go in a different direction. Could you help me out? Would you mind helping me in that way? And as I said, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 2 people will really help you. So take that information and use it to adjust your messaging, adjust how and what you communicate, and certainly, again, number of touch points and these kinds of things. So it's the second thing I want to talk about is refining your message. You want to ensure that your franchise story and your value proposition are crystal clear. As you hear these things from some of the people that are not moving forward with you, take it in a way that you can refine, tweak, and better improve the message and your methods to communicating. Another actionable step is to improve your nurturing, your touch points. Implement some structure in your follow-ups. Maybe templated emails or calls, content that you can send out that may help people continue on in your process or re-engage with you if they've dropped off for some reason. Again, a really good CRM system is going to help you automate this. One of the reasons why people don't do this is if they're not using a CRM is it's very manual and honestly, it doesn't seem important, or they get busy putting out other fires and they don't have the disciplines or the good habits built into doing that follow-up. But if you give them a good CRM, in particular, there are some CRMs that are designed specifically for franchise development. If you do that, it's going to help you automate that. Plus, it's a tool that your Fran Dev people can look at the dashboard, look at the pipelines, and know who needs followed up when. So I can refer you to some of the ones that we recommend. Just private message me or email me, and I'll be happy to connect you with some people that have great CRMs for what I'm talking about. Another way to an actionable step here is to provide some financial guidance. If funding is turning out to be an issue in your brand, offer some education, find franchising partners that will do some of that education, and build relationships with some franchise funding partners, I should say, that will know your brand, be excited about present or working with you to fund your brand, and again, you're going to have confidence in being able to send people to them. So actionable solutions. How do we grow our business? How do we grow our franchise? How do we break out of these bottlenecks? So we've just been talking about diagnosing the issues. So now, how do we unlock these bottlenecks, unjam these bottlenecks? Okay, so here we go. If you're a franchise founder, I want you to think about optimizing your recruitment process. Do you know who your ideal franchisee is? And then is your marketing, is your lead generation properly targeting them specifically? There's no sense in wasting your time or your fran dev team, if you've got one, talking to the wrong people. So as the franchisor executive or as the founder, you've got to look at who you're trying to recruit, and then is your marketing actually recruiting those people? Is it designed to recruit those people? Another thing to do is to streamline your operations. So and this is where and I had another podcast on how the other side of the business, other than the fran dev, is the other side of your business holding you back or holding your scaling and your growth back. And this is a point here as well. Are your current franchisees struggling? Do you need to improve training and support that would help make your system more attractive to new buyers? I used to have, as a master franchisee, I used to have what I called a kickstart program. It was one that was focused on new franchise partners, their first 4 to as long as 6 months. This was something that was very attractive to the new buyer. They wanted to see how quickly that this business would ramp up. And I could speak to how our structure of onboarding them and launching them was going to help them get the fastest ramp up that was possible. But you also want to focus on your existing franchise system. What's the average unit sales look like? Because again, as your new buyers or new prospects go to validation, they're going to hear what's really going on. So this may be where you really need to focus. This could certainly be the sole reason that your brand is stalling. You've had success, you've made a fair amount of sales, but now that those folks are open and up and running, they're just not getting the performance that is hoped for. They're just not getting the performance that the model should deliver. So take a serious look at this and really consider getting your franchise partners to perform better. And honestly, again, if you're somewhat of an emerging brand, you're in this 2, 3, 4 years, there's probably some people that you shouldn't have recruited, or they just didn't realize, and you were new and you just didn't realize that this probably wasn't the right business for them. It is a tough conversation, and it might cost you a little bit financially to not necessarily make them whole, because they have a responsibility in this as well. However, you still may want to do some version of a buyback and get some of these people out of your system so that your average unit sales numbers look better. And then obviously, overall, your validation is going to be better if some of these really, really poor performers are no longer in your system. So I see a lot of brands just sort of linger here. They don't want to make that decision. They don't want to have those conversations. But I really encourage you to evaluate your franchise partners, and again, you really may need to have the conversation with a couple of them that this is not really the right place for them. And then another thing for you franchise brand executives and you founders is to leverage your existing franchisees. In other words, what I mean is use the ones that are doing well, use them as your brand ambassadors, use them as a sales tool in your process, encourage them to share stories and maybe even make referrals to you. Some of my highest conversion rates of leads were referrals from existing franchise partners. So now let me just quickly move into franchise brokers and sales teams. If you're a fran dev professional working for a brand, here's where you really want to focus on what you can do. What are implementable strategies and solutions for breaking those bottlenecks? One is to improve your lead qualification. Dealing with too many unqualified leads that are in your pipeline, it's just a bad strategy. It wastes time. It's discouraging, deflating, frustrating. So improve your qualification. Have a few more steps in your process, maybe things that they could do. Have some steps that would better educate them about your brand that maybe may have them go, oh, wow, this is really the right thing for me, or hey, wow, this really isn't the right thing for me. But there are additional touch points that you can do to educate and better qualify. It can also warm them up. Again, the right ones will warm up and be a lot more fun to deal with. So again, improve your lead qualification process. Use content to build that relationship and trust. You'll create videos, get case studies, get video testimonials. Testimonials are great from prior clients, but video testimonials are much more powerful. Maybe have an FAQ, a frequently asked questions page or sheet that can address a lot of your prospective buyers' questions and objections. Handle the objections in advance. Know what they are and handle them in advance. And then a third one is simply to enhance your follow-up. Again, this is the one that is so critical. If you take nothing else away from today, I've emphasized that you need to follow up more timely. You need to follow up better. You need to have standardized things that work, like templated emails, and use automation. Boy, if you don't have the disciplines and the habits to do it yourself, then I'm going to tell you, you need to definitely utilize a CRM because there's no doubt in my mind that poor follow-up is losing you placements. All right, awesome. So before I close, just wanted to share, this is my anniversary, 25th year in business, in franchising. And I have honestly probably seen 90% of what you experience every day. So we've decided to hit this head on. And we're introducing as we launch our year-long celebration, I'm introducing what I call the Franchise Growth Vault Program. It's going to help you build a high-impact sales process. So if the types of challenges like we shared today and like we talked about, if these sound familiar to you, you need a proven system. You need to streamline your sales. You need to increase your conversions. And honestly, you need help in jumping on top of these things if you're serious about scaling your business and really eliminating the things that are holding you back. And again, that's what the Franchise Growth Vault is all about. So we're going to help you design effective sales processes, eliminate inefficiencies. We're going to help you maximize conversion rates. You're going to learn to be taught battle-tested techniques to turn your leads into franchisees. And again, you're going to work with me. Again, I'm confident I've seen, if not 100%, I've seen over 90% of what you see. Think about having someone that's going to zero in on specifically what's going on with your brand and your business and be able to give you implementable solutions to fix the broken sales process and other things that might be broken in your system. So I invite you to explore the franchise growth vault with me. You've got a link here on the screen here. You can have a diagnostic session with me. We're going to go over keys that you can, again, you'll get value out of the diagnostic session. And really, I would encourage you to, remember that unless you change something, keeping doing the same things, expecting and hoping for change is just not going to do any good. That's the old definition of insanity. So I encourage you to link with me here. And let's get a diagnostic session scheduled. I'll send you some things in between that'll get your thoughts and review of your system. It'll get you thinking through your system. And then that diagnostic session is going to be extremely valuable. So as I close, just want to say that franchise growth is not going to happen by accident. Your bottlenecks are not going to be eliminated unless you do something different. So the ability to diagnose them properly, get the root causes, and have battle-tested, proven strategies and techniques to fix them, that's going to take some effort on your point and on your part, and you're going to need to make some changes in order to get different results. So again, if this episode's resonated with you, take a moment, please, to review it. Throw some comments in the or questions in the chats. Let's identify what's causing friction in your system and take some action. Do something today out of the message that's going to change the way you operate. So franchise pitfalls and profits. So you never miss an episode, please subscribe. Again, it's just been great being with you today.